Hello, and thanks for joining me. I'm excited you're here. I want to talk to you about voices in your head. Yeah. So this is something that it came to me a couple weeks ago that I had some internal dialogue that I realized wasn't mine. Has that ever happened to you? So I decided I wanted to coach midlife women to have a better identity, to realize that it's not over. It's not all in the rearview mirror. There's amazing things ahead through my own transformation and glow up at age 60 and discovering the great single life that has been available to me that was not available because mostly my mindset over the last few years. And as I discovered I wanted to share my truth and what's worked for me, and all of the little hints and tips along the way, it became a coaching lesson, a coaching call, a coaching story, a coaching book. And on one level, I was really excited about this and about sharing my journey. But there was something about coaching that felt really icky to me. It felt inauthentic. It felt like, I don't know, like used car salesman-ish somehow. And I shared this with a couple people that I was getting business advice from. I was in a mastermind, I had my own coach, and they didn't seem to get what I was talking about. I was like, well, doesn't everyone feel this way? Like, like used car salesman, like you just know, like everyone knows used car salesmen have a bad rep. It's smarmy, superficial, all of this stuff, right? You just sort of, that's acceptable. And yet, for being a coach, I had my own internal dialogue about what that meant. And there were a lot of negative words coming up for me that it wasn't a legitimate profession, that there wasn't, the right classifications for it. You can't, what kind of education is required, what kind of certification is required. It must all be BS. Even though I felt like I had a message to share and that I had legitimately something of value that could enlighten women and make the second half of their life amazing. Because the second half of my life for 5 or 6 years was very sad and very dark and very lonely. And I could see that if I knew then what I know now, I could have had a much better 5 year period, right? So I knew I had something of value to share. But there was a sticking point for me in the wording of coach, life coach, and it didn't sit right with me. I had to do a lot of journaling. Um, and it actually took me more than a year. I started this YouTube channel in July or August of 2024, and I kind of put it on hold for over a year and didn't record more videos because I was struggling with the coaching concept. Even though I love public speaking, I love making the YouTubes, and I love sharing my journey and my breakthroughs and things that I have found really helpful to me that I think are going to be helpful to other women in midlife. And yet I couldn't get past this coaching word and concept. And one day I realized as I was doing all my journaling and inner work that it wasn't my voice. It was actually my ex-husband's voice. The trauma around coaching and the ick feeling wasn't mine. That wasn't actually something from inside of me. I was parroting something I'd been hearing for decades. Because when you live with someone and you you hear their thoughts, whatever their negative thoughts are, you internalize that a bit. I don't think you can help it. If you're with someone every day for years and years and decades, some of their beliefs are going to rub off on you. Some of their negative thoughts about things are going to rub off on you. And I believe that's what happened to me, that I thought it was my own voice saying that coaching was icky. And then I realized it wasn't my voice. And that took away a lot of the power that it had over me to not want to pursue coaching and not want to pursue being an author and sharing my story and sharing my words and my voice with people that I think would be vastly affected in a positive way by those words and by my voice. So I have a question for you. If you've got a knee-jerk reaction to something, is that your voice? Is it perhaps your parents, your mom? Is it perhaps your church, your community? Like, really question if you have a problem with something. If you have a problem with getting education on something, if you have a problem with, it could be something like taking on debt. Now debt can be really useful for growing your business. It can be really useful. I have a real estate background, and debt is critical. Leveraging properties to grow bigger and doing it in a very responsible way. I was influenced by my ex in a very good way, and that was he was very responsible with debt and very frugal, sometimes to a fault, and I've got videos about that too. But the point is we never got in over our heads with anything, and so I feel like debt is a very valuable instrument for use to leverage properties and education, but certain things that are going to grow in value, not for groceries and consumables. However, there are some people that believe that debt is bad, period. End of story, full stop. And I would challenge you, if you're thinking, for instance, about debt that way, is that your voice, or is that your dad? Is that your church? Is it someone in your community that's been very influential to you, a teacher? When you've got a hard stop on something, a ridge that you can't get over, question, is it your voice? And do some journaling about it. If you've got a problem with something that might actually move you forward and someone is telling you, yeah, take this course or borrow money so you can buy a house and get out of being a renter, or, if there's something that seems to be in your path and you've got a hard resistance to it that might even feel a little like you don't even know why you got such a resistance to it, I would challenge you to figure out if that's actually your voice. Write it down. Think about it. Let me know if this resonates with you. Is this something that has happened to you where you realize that something wasn't actually an internal dialogue, but was an external dialogue that you'd adopted as your own and it didn't fit anymore and it was time to discard it? Love to hear in the comments. All right. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.